Usually, when I sit down and record a pod, I have a specific topic that I want to talk about. And I go through and kind of lay out how I want to talk about things and present you with um, maybe various clips and pictures and talk about a certain subject. But today I'm going to take a little bit of a different approach and just give you my thoughts and my feelings about what's happening in our country right now, and especially the events that have taken place in Minneapolis recently. My name is Kurt Mollett. I'm Hoosier Blue, and I have something to say. Let's get at it. So I think a lot of us in this country who believe in our Constitution and believe in the right of citizenship and immigration and understand how this country was built and where all of us have come from and what has taken place throughout history in our country. We're in shock of what we're witnessing, what this administration is doing. And I search for words to try to explain it when I'm talking to others or try to, just share my feelings about it. And it's just so hard to do because I don't think any of us thought that we were going to reach this point in time that we are at right now. And make no mistake about it. This is the same kind of shit that Germans were experiencing in the 1930s. ICE is acting like the SS and the Gestapo, flat out. They are not following law. They're simply racially profiling people. They are going door to door to look for brown people and immigrants so they can kidnap them and throw them out of the country. We now have witnessed 2 of our citizens being executed. And that is what happened. They were executed by these thugs who are nothing more than hired bounty hunters. They're criminals themselves. A vast majority of them get into ICE and they have criminal records. Many of them are J6ers. Many of them are the 3%ers. They're Christian nationalists. They're white supremacists. They're neo-Nazis. They're Proud Boys. They're not law-abiding individuals who are trying to do what's right and follow constitutional law. Hell no. They are simply hired thugs that are searching brown people in this country. Non-white people, I should say. They're hunting down and throwing out of our country because we have a racist asshole and an administration that is bending the knee to every wish and command that he gives. And I believe half of them are just acting on their own. I don't think that the pedo 47 has control of any of it. I really don't think he is the one giving these orders. I think it's people like Russ Vought and Stephen Miller and Tom Homan and Christy Nome. I think it's assholes like this who are actually running this Gestapo-type SS, Homeland Security, Border Patrol, whatever the hell you want to call them. They're out of control. It just pains me to see this, that people are so hateful and racist in this country. I mean, I grew up in an area that is heavily conservative, so I'm used to this shit. I've been making content on social media for 4 or 5 years now. I'm used to the hate that I see coming from the right, but I never in my wildest dreams thought it would reach the pinnacle that it has right now. It's truly unbelievable. We have a mother in a minivan who did not try to run him over. This is bullshit. They're lying to us. And a nurse in a VA hospital who were assassinated, executed point blank shot. And what happened to Alex, how they emptied their weapons on him, there has been count of 10 shots fired into his body. Now you tell me, how in the hell does anybody justify that? And then we have a piece of shit president, along with his director of Homeland Security, and then also the dude that's now been removed as the head agent of ICE, Greg Bavino, or whatever the hell his name is, all came out in unison and said Alex had a gun in his hand and that he instigated the problem, that he attacked ICE. And it's been proven. He had his phone in his hand. He never threatened any of them, never approached any of them to do any bodily harm to them at all. He was protecting another individual who was shoved to the ground, a woman. That's who Alex was. A braver man than any of those pieces of shit that executed him in the streets of Minneapolis. It's just unbelievable. I'm sure many of you are like myself. You're at a loss for words. You can't believe what you're seeing. I know I can't. It's amazing. And you know, what happened to Renee and Alex is an absolute tragedy. This should never occur to anyone. But I also have a problem as a white guy of how white people are reacting. It's not surprising that they're acting this way, but it always seems to me that white people, they don't really pay attention to things too much unless it affects them directly. And this is a perfect example. You know, and what I'm talking about is that, can you imagine how our black brothers and sisters are feeling right now? Has anybody ever considered the 5 centuries of hate, abuse, oppression, murder, assassination, lynching that they have endured, that continues today, and we're not doing a damn thing about it? We've yet to be able to stop this. I guarantee you, if any of you have any black brothers or sisters that are friends of yours, have a chat with them and ask them what they feel about this right now. And I guarantee you, they'll probably look you straight in the eye and say, "Welcome to the struggle." And if you don't know what I'm talking about, well, Google 1619, and you can take it from there. I also have a huge problem with the leadership in the Democratic Party. I'm a Democratic socialist. I believe in the Democratic Party, but I do not believe in the centrists who control our party. And they make me sick to my stomach with the things that they have done. You know, in June, I think it was, we had 75 Democrats that voted to continue the funding for ICE. Could have been stopped right then. This bullshit was already taking place, okay? We knew what was happening, and they could have stopped it right then. And then just last week, we had 7 Democrats. These 7 right here that I'm sharing with you, who, by the way, if you look, take an enormous amount of AIPAC money. Coincidence? Nah, that's who they are. It's all about money with these people. And that's why I'm a democratic socialist. We need to remove money out of government. We need government that is for the people and not for the billionaires. We need to remove corporate Democrats out of our party. We need to put people ahead of profits. And until we do that, we will continue down this road that we are on right now of self-destruction and allowing the oligarchs of the world to control our lives. Now, I have a clip here that I am going to share with you that proves my point of what I'm talking about. This is AOC talking at the Healthcare Oversight Committee hearings the other day, exposing CVS Pharmacy and who's CVS Healthcare, who they are, and the control that they have in the healthcare industry. So take a look at this right here.
Mr. Joyner, you are the CEO of CVS Health, correct?
Correct.
And I actually don't know how many Americans know this, but CVS Health owns Aetna, the health insurance company, correct?
Correct.
And CVS, which owns Aetna, also owns Oak Street Health Medical Clinics, correct?
Yes, it does.
And in addition to that, they own, of course, CVS Pharmacies, and CVS Health also owns CVS Caremark, the pharmacy benefit manager, which helps negotiate some of these rebates and prescription prices, correct?
That's correct.
And CVS Caremark processes nearly 30% of all prescriptions in a given year. And so, in other words, CVS Caremark helps determine the prices that patients pay for a third of all prescriptions in the U.S. In fact, I was following one of CVS's investor calls where they really laid out quite clearly what this means if you are a patient. This is what's known as a captive strategy. And CVS, in the investor call, used the example themselves of a patient known as Kate. Kate has an Aetna health insurance plan right here, which is owned by CVS Health. She then goes to a CVS pharmacy. She's connected to an Oak Street Health medical clinic. She sees a doctor at Oak Street Health who prescribes her medication. And then she goes to fill that prescription at a CVS pharmacy. So the price Kate pays for that medication is dictated by Aetna, CVS Caremark, and they also own the drug manufacturer Cordavis. Mr. Joyner, this is quite a bit of market concentration. Wouldn't you agree?
No, I wouldn't agree that it's market concentration. I would suggest it's a model that works really well for the consumer.
Yeah, I think it works very well for CVS. I think, in fact, you all said on the call that you all call it a fully engaged member. It's great marketing there. Fully engaged member unlocks sizable value for payers and CVS Health. So the health insurance gets a cut, the pharmacy benefit manager gets a cut, the drug manufacturer gets a cut, and the patient gets screwed. I think the Federal Trade Commission has also found that healthcare conglomerates like CVS Health charge more for medications filled at their pharmacies. We're talking about 1,000% markups on medications for cancer and HIV. And, I think this is actually an interesting point of common ground that I may have with some of our Republican colleagues here in this hearing. Because whether you're a blue-blooded capitalist or a card-carrying democratic socialist, I think corporate monopolies are a problem. And this vertical integration is destroying people's ability to access care. I don't think we're seeing this across the board. And if they can self-deal, I saw something that was interesting from the opening statement of Mr. Hemsley from United Health talking about how much United spends, what was it, 85% on care, Mr. Hemsley? Approaching 90%. But the ACA forces you all to spend a decent amount of that on subsidies on care. But when you own the care, when the insurer owns the pharmacy, owns the PBM, owns the drug manufacturer, you also own the healthcare cost. You own a big chunk of the healthcare cost. And so, 100 years ago, we had this type of market concentration in our banks. And we did something about it when it crashed the economy. And we passed the Glass-Steagall Act. We should be considering that in our healthcare system. And if we believe in competition, I think we should put our votes and our legislation in alignment with that and consider breaking up this industry in order to allow the competition that prevents this kind of vertical integration and abuse of power. And with that, I yield back.
Yeah, pretty crazy, isn't it? But this is the kind of shit that we are dealing with as citizens in this country. Now, do you know that we give Israel more money than any other country, billions and billions of dollars? And so many of our politicians are bought off by the AIPAC group, who are given money from Israel. And I don't have a problem. I'm not talking about this because I have a problem with Jewish people. What I have a problem with is how they influence the politicians in this country. But do you know that in Israel, they have universal health care for their citizens? Do you know that their education system is virtually free? So we send the largest amount of money to Israel by far. And I don't know the figures. It doesn't really matter to me. I mean, it's billions of dollars. And it gives them the ability to give free health care to their citizens and to basically wipe the slate clean of any debt for schooling. But we can't do that here. Instead, we allow the corporate oligarchs to control our country and to control our healthcare system. And that is why we have so many people who have to file bankruptcy due to healthcare cost. And it is only going to get worse. So I didn't mean to get off on a tangent there, but this is just where my mind is at right now. And I think a lot of us are the same way. There are so many things going on and it's hard to keep track. And I didn't even talk about the Board of Peace or Greenland, and that's coming on another episode I'll be filming here pretty soon. I had to take a break. I haven't had a pod on here for, I think, almost a month. But I had to clear my head because it really gets hard to bring content to you because I don't do this for clicks, likes, and shares, and I don't do it for that. I do it because I'm sharing with you my feelings and my thoughts about situations. But I've made a commitment that I'm going to start recording more often and putting more pods out because I think it's critical right now that creators like myself do that. We have to get the information out. So I will continue to do that. So just keep everyone in Minnesota in your thoughts. Let's hope for the best. We have to keep fighting. We have no other choice. Being quiet and complying to them, well, that's when the end starts to approach. And we're not there yet. There's a lot of fight in us. I know there's a lot of people talking about different things that are going to happen. There are plans being made because we as citizens cannot allow this to happen. So we need to mobilize, we need to organize, and we need to fight against these people. But what's more critical and more important than anything is that when we put an end to this, and I don't know when that will be, but we will put an end to this, we have to make sure that every single one of them involved in this pays for the crimes that they have committed. We cannot be lenient and we cannot be soft. We have to send a message so people in the future understand this cannot take place. If we do not do that, we for sure will lose our democracy forever. So stay positive. keep an eye on my future pods because I'm going to be bringing them out to you more often. I appreciate your support. I hope the best for you. Please be safe. Stay close to the ones you love. If you like what I have to say, tell your family and friends about me. I love to talk and I love to share my opinions and my feelings with you all because that's who I am. My name is Kurt Mullet. I'm Hoosier Blue, and I have something to say. I'll catch you on the flip side.